What is going on, everybody? We are talking about and reacting to Jimmy Ward, the longest tenured San Francisco 49ers player. He does appear to be on his way out. Very, very interesting times for the San Francisco 49ers as a lot of moving and changing parts are occurring in real time. There it's a crazy time right now, and as if you're just hearing it or seeing it now, Jimmy Ward is likely, if not already, signing quite the wild situation. So, I'm not gonna lie, I'm going live straight from YouTube. It's my first time doing this, so I'm getting kinda used to everything, so bear with me. But I think you guys can hear me and see me all good. I'm reversed in the screen, so it's got me all messed up, but let's keep this thing rolling. How are you guys feeling about this? Were you expecting Jimmy Ward to sign elsewhere? Is this a surprise to you, or were you kind of prepared for Jimmy Ward to be a guy that was going to leave in free agency? I think if you had to ask my opinion, Jimmy Ward had been hinting at leaving the San Francisco 49ers for a long time. He was talking about leaving the San Francisco 49ers before the season started, during the season, and after. So it doesn't feel like much of a surprise, but it's still kind of jarring in a sense because Jimmy Ward has been here for so long. We haven't had a player to be able to withstand this long. I mean, when you talk about players who can withstand multiple regimes, that's pretty impressive. And because we are talking about free agency as a whole, it's not just Jimmy Ward signing. There have been two pretty substantial signings that just occurred right now. So, first of all, the Vikings are signing Edge Marcus Davenport to a 1-year deal worth 13 million. Now, that is pretty surprising. But then, right on the back of that, the Seattle Seahawks, NFC West opponents, have signed Draymond Jones, former defensive tackle for the Broncos. That is a pretty big time signing for the Seattle Seahawks, who the San Francisco 49ers will face twice a year. So looks like both Seattle and the 49ers have made sure to bolster the interior. Josina Anderson is reporting Draymond Jones signed a 3-year deal with the Seattle Seahawks. So a bit of an arms race with the Seattle Seahawks up north. So again, we are fluid, we are alive, things are popping up like crazy. But again, we are also reacting to Jimmy Ward and his time coming to an end with the San Francisco 49ers. What emotions do you guys feel understanding that Jimmy Ward will no longer be a 49er? Are you guys sad? Are you okay? Not a big deal. On to the next. How would you guys quantify what Jimmy Ward meant to you as a fan of the San Francisco 49ers and what it means moving forward? RM in the chat says sad, the end of the Harbaugh era. It truly is, because as we know, Jimmy Ward was drafted by Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke, Jim Harbaugh was a former first round draft pick. When Harbaugh was fired, he was able to withstand Jim Tom Sula. He was able to withstand Chip Kelly. and was able to make a name for himself with the new regime under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. It's not often that you come across players that can be able to move across multiple regimes. So that is pretty impressive for Jimmy Ward. And again, for a guy who has moved all over the place, outside corner, nickel, safety, it's pretty crazy to see Jimmy Ward's path up until this point. But again, I think we all understand Jimmy Ward uh, didn't feel like was going to be a fit for the San Francisco 49ers moving forward. They opt to bring back a different safety, and that safety is Tashawn Gibson, who ultimately took Ward's safety spot last year. Ward told a story on Instagram Live where effectively he went to Kyle Shanahan and was like, I don't want to play nickel cornerback anymore. And the way Jimmy Ward repeated it was effectively Kyle Shanahan told him, well, do you want to ride the bench? It's either play nickel or ride the bench. You're not getting your spot back at safety. That's Tashawn Gibson's from here on out. So crazy, crazy to see a lot of foundational pieces for the San Francisco 49ers find themselves on different teams. Jimmy Garoppolo, a Raider. Who would have known that we would have seen the day that both Jimmy Garoppolo and Jimmy Ward find themselves on different teams on the same day? Mike McGlinchey is a Denver Bronco. It it feels weird a little bit. Take that for analysis. It just feels interesting to be able to look at these players that we have seen in 49ers red and gold for years and look up and they are now on different teams. It definitely is going to take a little bit to get used to. And again, really just weird to see these players that we've come to know for so long just be on different teams. So it will be fascinating to see what that means for the nickel spot with Jimmy leaving. Because Jimmy Ward leaves, the 49ers' next man up would be Samuel Womack. Womack was a fifth round draft pick out of Toledo. He showed tons of promise in preseason and tons of promise in training camp. So much so that I thought Samuel Womack was going to be the starter at nickel for the San Francisco 49ers. But because the signing of Deshaun Gibson and because you had an injury to Jimmy Ward, it changed the rotation of the defensive secondary, and now Jimmy Ward moved to nickel and now went from nickel to the Houston Texans. Womack likely fits into that role right now. What will be interesting to see is if the San Francisco 49ers are active in free agency and they try to address this role. We saw earlier today that the San Francisco 49ers were interested in cornerback Trey Herndon, who plays for the Jags. It There wasn't much to come of it from that point, but it was definitely reported from Josina Anderson that that could be a potential outcome where the 49ers are looking to go and fill a spot. But again, bringing this back to Jimmy Ward, uh, is very interesting. Again, having a Jimmy Ward-less team, he's provided us with many memories, whether it's the training camp brawl with DeAndre Hopkins, whether it was going back and forth with DK Metcalf. Jimmy Ward has provided a ton of memories and also some pretty memorable plays, especially in some clutch moments, going back to some 2019 games against the Rams and things like that. So it's definitely an interesting period as a San Francisco 49er fan, as we are seeing guys that we have known on this roster leaving, adding new players into the mix, getting younger at certain positions, and saying goodbye to captains. When you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, Mike McGlinchey, Jimmy Ward, all three of them wore captain's patches at one point or another. So it is definitely a bit of a shakeup in regards to what we have come to know with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, are these moves things that the 49ers can't overcome? No, not necessarily. I think the 49ers find themselves in a good spot. It makes sense for them moving forward, but still just a bit jarring to see players that we have come to know so well not be there much any longer. But again, we also had got some news right when we had started this. The Seattle Seahawks have matched the San Francisco 49ers arms race in adding a defensive lineman of their own in Draymond Jones. Um, he is a standout defensive lineman for the for the Denver Broncos, Marcus Davenport to the Vikings. The interesting thing about the Marcus Davenport situation is, does that make Zadarius Smith available? Because it was reported that Zadarius Smith wanted to be released and potentially sign elsewhere. But with them adding Marcus Davenport to the mix, does that make Zadarius potentially available via trade? Would the San Francisco 49ers be interested in potentially getting him and or signing him if he is released? Very, very fascinating. Yes, Eric Kendricks also signed to the Chargers, Caden Ellis to the Falcons. So no sleeping on the first day of legal tampering, as plenty of news is still popping off. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was more news related to the San Francisco 49ers. We know that Aziz Al-Shair is not returning, but we don't know when that will officially be announced. He said goodbye to 49ers fans via his Instagram, and it does seem like he knows where he's headed based on a couple things that I've come across. It just doesn't feel like it has been officially announced anywhere. So we will continue to see how that is managed. But a lot changing, a lot changing in not only NFL circles, but the San Francisco 49ers. My goodness, what a day. A lot of change, a lot of positives, but also just a complete shift from what we have known from the San Francisco 49ers some time. So it's crazy. Crazy time to be alive. And again, the 49ers also brought in Sam Darnold for quarterback 3, and they bring in uh re-signed defensive tackle Kevin Givens as well. But as I've discussed, I don't think the 49ers are done just yet. So it will be absolutely fascinating to see what comes of it in the end. If the San Francisco 49ers do something crazy again, you're probably going to see me live for another time. Just wanted to come on, have a live reaction to all this stuff going down. And at this point, I hope something else pops off so we can go live one more time, maybe even two times. But thanks again, as always. Make sure you got those post notifications on in case we just pop up live. I might just be popping in live for live reactions and things like that. Like I said, this one was direct through YouTube. It's my first time ever going live direct through YouTube and not through StreamYard. So it's a little bit of a different operating process for me. So appreciate you guys bearing with me. Smash that like button if you have it on your way out. But we'll be going live again if anything pops off. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.